Okay, so I'm going to have to wait till a couple come on. I don't usually come up here on Instagram. I have no other option because I've been pulled down off of Facebook, and my YouTube channel has been lifted. Thanks to TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency, the trafficking agency here in Ireland. And the sooner the better people start realising that the Irish children are being trafficked through the Irish courts. I just also like to ask anybody that's looking in, if you can please get this out onto into your messenger, out onto Facebook or any platform that you can, because I'll be looking at 4 months in prison for breaching bail conditions. Now, I'll read out in a minute the bail conditions that were given. Now, I've already breached them, so I'm money off the phone to my barrister, and I'll get into that now. Just wait till a couple of you come on. If you can just, for the sake of the children, you don't have to like me, you don't have to like who I am or what I'm about, but for the sake of the children here in Ireland, would you please just send this out into your messenger, out up onto Facebook, and add more friends onto this. I'd really appreciate it, because if I go down, I might as well go down with people knowing what's actually happening here in Ireland. It's barbaric, it's disgusting, and I am just one person. There's so many being unfairly treated here in Ireland. It's just gone beyond a joke at this point. It's shocking. So I'm going to just wait for till a couple of more of you come on. That's if you do. And if you can please get join some people in. I don't know how to do this, but I'm only trying to figure it out. I'd really appreciate it. I'll just say hello to a few of you here. Hi, Neve. Hi, Pat Sweeney. Pat O'Kin, how are you? Most of the platforms that I usually couldn't get out on are wiped out. TUSLA's barristers and solicitors are hot on my trail, like big time. It's, Jesus, I can't even begin to imagine. I wouldn't even have thought I'd be saying this this time 2 years ago. It's shocking, the censorship. It's absolutely shocking. Hi, Phil McKenna. I'm just going to wait till a couple of you come on. You'll see my t-shirt is TUSLA. They're not fit for purpose. TUSLA, originally known as the HSE in Ireland, are nothing but a child trafficking service who are trafficking children through the Irish courts and right across the waters. This is happening for generations, and it's still going on. TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency here in Ireland, have my son, and I will not stop until he's returned home safe. My son is residing in a home where there's addiction for 12 years of his life. And again, I'm just going to have to wait till a couple of you come on. Not at all, Pat O'Kin. People need to wake up. They really do. It's absolutely shocking what's happening. If you look back to the Magdalen homes, to the industrial schools, nothing has changed. They've just gotten better at doing it. You know, 14,000 per head per child. And over 6,500 children in care here in Ireland. Absolutely shocking, the sexual, physical and mental abuse these children are going through. But not only that, what's happening inside the family law court structure is held in camera. You dare open your mouth, or you breach that, or you tell anybody what happens inside those courts, and you will be punished. You will be gagged and you will be sent to prison. The Section 31 of the in-camera rule is designed to protect a child in care. This section is to protect themselves, to protect their lies, their deceit, for the thousands of children out there who've come through the care system, who are now children living in the prison services here in Ireland. I'm doing this for all of ye. Now, you can either like me or lump me. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'll just carry on regardless. Now, I'm going to start, and I'm just going to really briefly go through what happened today, a little bit of my background, just to give you a little feel for where I'm at. I'm fighting 6.5 years here in Ireland, TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency. I am a recovering heroin addict. I'm 6.5 years clean, complete abstinence, with no mood-altering drugs, no methadone, no anything. 2 years into, after 10 years of addiction, I was in a fight of my life with Tusla, the Child and Family Agency. I was looking for a reunification plan within the first 2 years, and that I have to earn my child back. Lo and behold, Tusla wasn't having this. I had made numerous reports about the drug activity that my son has been living with, the foster carer in the home who had tried to kill himself 9 months ago. I reported this to Judge Colin Daly at the time. There's a new district court for the family law judge. I was given a section 47 that I was not to ring any Gardaí in the Carlow station about any concerns relating to my son. Now the story gets worse. I ended up having a social worker who was married to the counsellor I was seeing. So I decided then, when I went through the courts, I was getting nowhere with Tusla. I decided then that I had to speak out. I didn't want to get up on live stream and talk about my life and my personal business. My whole family have been through a nightmare, especially my other kids. So I got up and spoke out, started speaking out for the children, and got massive support. I've been in prison 6 times for breaching a Section 31. A Section 31 is to protect the child in care, not to protect the system. 6 times. I am now looking at 4 months. Now, what happened today was my criminal barrister, got a phone call from Paul Kiley solicitors who represent Tusla, who are based in Kilkenny, who help child trafficking here in Ireland. I have breached my bail conditions, and they've asked would I take another letter of undertaking, and so for the same thing, for the breach, and I'm refusing that. The only way that I can get this message out and to expose what's happening inside these Irish courts is to go to prison. Now, most people are saying to me, you never learn, you've got your criminal solicitors on the family and the criminal side. I'm a firm believer, right? If you don't speak out and you don't expose what's been hidden for years, nothing is going to change here in Ireland. So that is my choice. My choice to go back into prison, to speak out not only for my son, but for the thousands of other children out there. And to the parents out there. The parents who are frozen in time and frozen with fear, because if they speak out, their access will be denied. Their visits will be stopped. And if they push any way or any boundaries, they will be gagged and put to prison. That's the black and white of it, lads, you know. So not only that is have Tusla tried to take me down off of YouTube. They've pulled me down off of YouTube. They've pulled me down off TikTok. They've pulled 4 or 5 pages off of Facebook. How can a child trafficking agency here in Ireland get away with doing something like that? How much money are they paying their barristers and solicitors to remove my content? Now, I just want to say to the people out there as well who have kids in care and who Tusla have ye dumbed down. Shame on ye, because I have enough of it now at this stage. Shame on ye. You need to get up and speak up for your children, for your flesh and blood. And I even hate saying that, and I know what fear is, and I know what hurt is, and I see it every day. There is no justice in the Irish courts unless people come together and speak out. There's no justice. Anybody out there that knows anybody that's dealing with Tusla, the Child and Family Agency, please contact me. Please tell people out there that we understand and we know what you're going through. You don't have to do this on your own. And so be it if I have to go back and do another 4 months in prison after doing 6 times in it already. And this is how they want to try shut you up. Because if you push any boundaries, dare you push any boundaries here in Ireland, and you will pay the price. I would rather sit in a cell for 4 months knowing that I fought for my own flesh and blood. There's thousands of parents out there and children who are suffering by Tusla. They're absolutely shocking. They are trafficking the children through the Irish courts, and the sooner the better people start realising that. It's shocking, guys. So like I said, I'm a recovering heroin addict. I placed my son with his paternal aunt, which was the best thing I felt at the time, instead of dragging him through this. I am 6.5 years clean and sober. Why wasn't there a reunification plan? Why are they putting me in prison? Why do they keep fighting me on this? Because they don't want their secret to get out. They're making millions off of our children. Millions. And not only when you speak out, right? You're going to have to be wired in a way as well that when you do get up onto a social media platform, your own people will turn savage on you. And you have to push past all of that. You have to push past all of the abuse, all of the trolling in order to get to where you need to get. And people ask me, how do I do it? I do it because I love my son. I do it because I'm protecting my flesh and blood. There is no bars in Ireland here is going to stop me speaking out until my son is sent home where he belongs. How dare they do this to him? How dare they do that to my family? I done nothing wrong and neither did my son. 12 years of age living in a home of rampant abuse. Rampant. While I live a clean and sober life. And anybody out there that knows about addiction or anybody that has come through heroin from the depths of the gutter to crawl themselves back up, we become very, very different people. We become good, honest, caring, kind people. There is not one of us on this land can judge anybody here today. Not one of us. So some people would rather keep their mouths shut while their children are being sexually and mentally and physically abused because of their own fear of going into prison. So I choose to do it my way. It mightn't suit everybody. It mightn't be everyone's cup of tea. But I can put my head on my pillow at night knowing I fought for my son. He deserves better. He deserves better. My family deserves better. Every member of my family at home are in recovery. There were 6 of us. Out of 5, we were addicts, and 1 has passed away, and the rest we were all clean and sober in my home. And yet my son resides in a home with vultures. And Tusla and our judicial system wants to lock me up and put me into a prison. Why? Why? It doesn't make sense. Nobody asking you to like me. Nobody asking you to like me. Take my personality and take my face out of the picture and get this message out to people. Because your children in care are being trafficked. They're being trafficked. I've protested for 6.5 years. I have protested the length and breadth of this country. I have taken that much slack. There was times I couldn't even breathe. There was times I didn't want to get up out of bed. But yeah, I'm still up here speaking. Yeah, I'm up here fighting. When I didn't think I had an education to get up and speak. When I thought my voice didn't matter. And yet still I'm here fighting tooth and nail this system. I've heard all the excuses off people. I can't speak out, Angela, because they'll stop my visits. Angela, I can't speak out because of A, B and C. I can't speak out because my mother's not able to cope with it. I've heard excuse after excuse after excuse. It's just monotonous at this point. Absolutely monotonous. The 3 conditions, the bail conditions. Now, he's listening. The 3 bail conditions are to not post anything about my son. In other words, his face or anything got to do with him. I can understand that. The second condition is I'm not allowed to post anything about Tusla from an Irish newspaper. Anything related to Tusla from an Irish newspaper, anything with the word Tusla in it, I'm not allowed to post it, right? And I'm also not allowed to post about my court proceedings, what's happening in the court. Now, most people will say, I can't speak out because if I speak out, it'll affect my case. Yet there's people in the court still 15 to 20 years fighting. While the children are young, and then all of a sudden people will say to you, oh, wait till they get older. They'll understand you fought. It's not good enough anymore. It's not good enough anymore. It doesn't cut it anymore. When you're in a place in Carlow and you go down to your Tusla offices and there's no staff in it, there's literally no staff down there. A whole change of social workers, again, to cover their tracks. And now with this new cyber attack, all emails are sent back. Because they want to cover up their lies and their deceit and the filth and the disgust. What's happening to children behind closed doors here, guys. Now, I know some people out there are awake. I know some people out there know exactly what's happening. But to the elite few out there that haven't a clue or who don't even care, the sexual, mental and physical abuse of children here in Ireland is absolutely off the scale. And anybody out there who's come through the care system, anybody out there who's dealt with Tusla will know exactly what I'm talking about. When they produce their paperwork, they have no solicitor or barrister to represent them. Nobody wants to take on the family law system. Nobody wants to take on Tusla. Now, only from me speaking out, I have a legal team. And that was, by God, did I fight hard for that. And I don't care who comes, what guard comes to my door to bring me to Mountjoy. I would rather sit in a cell than live without my own flesh and blood. It's absolutely shocking. I am disgusted with every TD, every counsellor, when the first 2 years I stood up and spoke out, and not one of them stood up. And yet people will look at counsellors and TDs and say, oh, I'll vote them in. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. I don't need anything off of anybody. I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this to highlight it. I'm doing it for my son. I'm doing it for my family, even though some of them don't really understand why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for notoriety or for likes. What I'm doing it for is for my son and for the children here in Ireland. They never had a voice, guys. They have no voice. The only thing, in my opinion, will bring people together is the children and the elderly. You can leave your political views and your personal opinions aside, and you can look at what really matters. Is our elderly who are being savaged by our government, and our young who are being trafficked and raped and sold today in Ireland. Like, think about it. While everybody else wants to fight, and while your government wants you to fight with each other about your political views, I choose not to get involved in that. My main priority is to speak up here for the children here in Ireland. It is a hard battle, but I'm telling you one thing, it's a far cry from sitting back and doing nothing, because I would have lost my mind if I had done nothing. How could you live without your own flesh and blood? How could you be who you want to be? You imagine what's going on in his head. It was only his birthday last week, and they tell me he doesn't want to see me. What child doesn't want to see their own mother? I don't. So for the people out there who say she's not learning, do your case. Why she keep going back to prison? I go back to prison because I love my son. And what I believe also is what's happening inside the closed courts, the family law courts here in Ireland, needs to be exposed. It really needs to be exposed. It's shocking. For the 6 years, I have heard so many stories. I have heard girls being trafficked by social workers. I've heard girls having kids for Gardaí. I've heard doctors abusing women, as we know. We know what they're like. I've heard so many horrific, hard stories, and that when these women tried to get up and get some help, there was no help from any barrister or solicitor. They're all just the same. They're all as bad as each other. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. And I believe something needs to give. I won't stop speaking. I'll continue to expose them. I have support. I met great people along on the way. They protested. If you go on to D Wall, over D Wall, you'll see protests we've done right up to today, exposing the corruption here in Ireland. You know, the support I got from Gemma O'Doherty as well, when people sabotage her, you know. So that's where we're at here in Ireland. I will be packing a bag soon. I'd say I won't be long again. I get a knock on the door. And I'll do what I have to do in order to expose what's happening. And I will not be stopping until my son is returned. And just to all the IT people up there who are working for Tusla, right, who will probably get this removed, I'm not stopping. And you can spend all the money in the world and you can put me behind what bars you like, but I will not stop until my son is returned home. I'm not stopping. There's no fear left in me. You can't hurt me anymore. You've took my baby. You've severed the bond between me and my son. I have no fear left in me. So hit me with your best, Tusla. Do whatever you can. The amount of social workers who were working from home, checking my Facebook and checking my YouTube. I literally heard them in the court. They have 6 IT experts working for them, alone on my case, pulling me down, getting stuff down and trying to put fear into me. So here we go. They want me to do another letter of undertaking. After I breached it, they want me to do another one. It's not happening. It's not happening. The message today to you, Tusla, the Child Trafficking Service, and to Carlo Gardaí and to Carlo offices, send my son home where he belongs. Send him home to a safe environment. He is not safe where he's residing. And that's it. That's just the way it is. And I will fight to the bitter end. I was asked, where do I get the fight? How do I keep going? Thank God for AA. Alcoholics Anonymous has given me a 12-step program to help me cope when there's days I don't want to go out there, when I get abuse online, and when there's days I just want to shut the curtains and tell everyone just to leave me alone. But I get back up every morning, and Tusla might try and put fear in me each and every time, but it only takes me a little while to get back up, and I'll keep on going and I'll keep on pushing, because the love for my son is way stronger than any fear in this world. Any fear in this world. So if you want to share it, if you want to get it out, I'd appreciate it. It's not for me. It's Tusla, the Child and Family Agency. They're not fit for purpose. They're a child trafficking service here in Ireland. And until people wake up, nothing's going to change. So I'm prepared to do a bit of prison. I'm prepared to do a bit of prison because I love me baby. Whew. That feels good to get that off my chest. You have no idea. You have no idea. The abuse. When I was in the prison also, there were so many girls in there. A couple of them had kids for guards. A couple of them were beaten up by Gardaí, and one or two had lost a little baby. And the stories, there's a lot of girls in there who've come through the care system who were sexually abused by social workers also, and whose destiny was drugs and prison. The majority of women in there shouldn't be there. There's a lot of people in the prisons with mental health issues who've been doped up on methadone or God only knows what other psychotic to try cope with the trauma they've been dealt with and dealing with on a daily basis, you know. It's horrific, like, you know, there's no end to it. Absolutely no end to it. It just gets worse and worse the more you hear. And there's a couple of people ringing me and texting me. I'm not a counsellor, guys. I have a few people saying, don't mind Angela Ray, she wouldn't even help me get back my child when I can't even get back my own. So you're going to meet licorice all sorts, and I'm going to hear licorice all sorts after this. But again, my main goal is to expose Tusla, the Child and Family Agency, to expose what's happening inside the closed courts and the corruption between the Gardaí, between the judicial system, your solicitors, your barristers, your counsellors, your psychologists, the whole way down. And what's underneath that is a massive, massive paedophile ring that would literally turn your stomach. So, I don't have anything else to say. I'm hoping to be doing a few more interviews after ringing a few more people. If I'm going to go down, I might as well go down. In this video, you will notice I didn't breach a section 31. That was identifying a child or saying his name. Just remember that. So anything you hear now that I'm saying, I'm going to jail for. So if any of you out there can find anything I said wrong in this that would deserve me to go to prison, please let me know. Because I can't see anything. I can't hear anything. Section 31, go look it up. So I'm going to, 4 years ago, I'm going to go after this. 4 years ago, when I spoke out when I was imprisoned for the first time, a long-term care order was placed on my son. That means all your rights are gone. And in that long-term care order, it stated, because of the attachment with his paternal aunt, and because I breached the section 31, I was an unfit mother. After a Bresborough report, a €9,500 report, Judge Colin Daly didn't even want to recognise it after I passed it. When you have truth on your side, when you have the mental ability to cope with daily life, but with also the backlash of social media as well, and all different characters, and when you can cross over that, and when you know your truth, there's no one can stop you. There's nobody can stop you when you have truth on your side. I've lived a colourful past. I was no angel, and by God, am I no angel today. But I do live a good, clean and sober life. I'm not out here to hurt or harm anybody in the process. I'm trying to speak up for my baby. I'm trying to speak up for the thousands of children who are still suffering. Can you imagine the parents, the mothers and fathers with the children? They're too afraid even to speak out. The fear of God is put into them. And be it right or be it wrong, whatever way I do it, it's my way. I have tried the courts, I've tried solicitors, I've tried barristers, I've tried to do it their way. And I'm doing it 6.5 years. He's now 12. Precious time is wasted. All Tusla had to do was a reunification plan. It was in their policies and procedures, and they couldn't even do that. What they're trying to do now is trying to protect all the mistakes that they've done, basically. And I will win. And my son will be returned home. And I just want you to remember that I said that. He will win. Or I will win. He will be coming home. And don't forget I said that. Because I won't be stopping until he does. So I'm going to go now. That was my rant over. Excuse me. And I'll chat soon.